Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Grade 8 2021 group meeting on MS Teams. Just some etiquette for the meeting. Please, like I said, keep your mics muted and then your cameras turned off at all times. If you've got any questions, you should see on your toolbar a little show conversation that will open your chat on the side. And then if you open that, some of our class teachers will answer your questions that you've got that through the meeting. Main thing, like you can see, Mr. Robertson just said that this meeting will be recorded and shared later on if your Wi-Fi fails or anything like that. Okay, so thank you and a very big welcome to our Grade 8 of 2021 meeting. So the things that we'll be covering today is the welcome, which I've welcomed everyone. With us, we've got a few of the class teachers and then some of our executive as well. So welcome to them all, and then thank you to the parents and the new grade 8s for 2021. So the first thing that I just want to do is I just want to introduce you to all our staff that we've got. So everyone should know our principal, Mr. Hayward, and then we've got our senior deputy, Mr. Dolly, our junior deputy principal, Mrs. Smith, which is also in charge of academics. Then we've got Mr. Pinar, which is our deputy principal, and also our grade 8 discipline officer. And then lastly, in our exec, we've got Miss van Altena, which is also a deputy principal. The two big names that you need to take note of that you will be working with through majority of the times, if it's anything concerning a grade 8, will be myself, Mr. AJ van Niekerk, which is the grade 8, and then Mrs. Now, which is the deputy grade 8. She unfortunately couldn't join us tonight as she is ill. Then class teachers, each class has got their own class teachers. So the first class teacher there is Mrs. Barrow. And then another Mr. van Niekerk, but that is Mr. F. van Niekerk, Mrs. Masabalala, Miss Wurg, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Kutsia, and then Miss Kemp. Everyone by now should have received the prospectus from the security hut at the front of the school. You must please make sure that these documents that you see on your screen now is in your prospectus. If there's any document missing, please do not hesitate to email myself or Mrs. Stahl, and we'll make sure that we can either email you another copy, or we can make sure that you can pick up a new copy from the hut in front of the school. At this stage, we are doing the hut situation just to restrict contact with parents and the COVID situation. So it's safety protocol that we are doing it through the hut at the front of the school. Please make sure if you collect it that you also sign for your prospectus. It's very important that we also get idea more or less who has received their prospectus. If there's any scenarios where you've got more than one parent, when parents are divorced or things like that, and both of them want prospectus, again, please do not hesitate to email me. I'll share my email in the group chat as well so that everyone can get that. But it's very, very easy if you just want to take note. It's just ajvniekerk@westringhigh.co.za. You can also get that from our website, which is very easy to access as well. All the teachers that you saw on the pictures, you'll get all the email details from our website. Okay, so just some important dates is the first document in there. So that will just highlight what is happening on the first few days, when they are expected to be at school and things like that. And then please note on the Friday, there will be some music tests that will be done by our music department for the kids that chose music as a subject. Okay, a Google form will be emailed privately to all of you, and then you'll just complete the Google form, and then we will contact you with a time for that Friday for your kid to come in for a music test. Stationery list, self-explanatory. the list of uniform and stationery. Mr. Pinar will later tonight also just speak about uniform. The WHS Code of Conduct, that is very important that you and your child sit with that and go through everything, especially all our policies as well. Because as soon as you've gone through all those policies, you need to sign the learner commitment form and return that to your class teacher. All our policies is there to protect the staff, the learner, and parents of Westering High School. So please make sure that you read them and then you try and enforce your kids to get used to those kind of rules that we apply at Westering High School. Okay, so there you can also see all our different policies that we've got. It is very important for us to have these policies because firstly, we are a very device-driven school. No textbook, hard copy textbook is used. Everything is done on the tablet just to make things easier and to get used to what the future is going to hold for your children. If you look at the future, everything is going online, and that is what we want to try and push at Westering High School as well. Okay, so again, all our policies, that's our drug testing policy, you can read through that. It is, again, just to make sure that we make sure your child is safe and not using any substances. Social media links in with your device, the same with your cell phone policy as well. Academic support explains to you all the avenues we've got to help your child. The school fees, self-explanatory. The device requirements and login details I'll speak about briefly now in my next slide. Medical aid form needs to be filled in and returned to your class teacher on the first day of school. And then if you want the school fees to go off on a debit order form, that is also in your prospectus. Okay, thank you very much. So the next thing that I want to just talk about is the device requirements and login details. Ladies and gents, your child is probably going to sit with the same tablet for 5 years. So it's so important that you make the right purchase from the beginning. And I'm just highlighting a few things from when you go and buy your device. If you're thinking of buying an Android device, which is like your Samsungs, your Huawei, and those kind of devices, please make sure that it's got 16 gigabytes of storage or more and runs Android 5.1.1 or higher. Lower specs will render the device unusable and we will not be able to download my ebooks on the device. If you decide to go for a Windows device, we recommend that you at least have 64 gigs of storage space. And if you decide to go for an Apple device, please make sure that it's iOS 10 or higher. So in other words, the iPad 4 or newer. My ebooks app itself does a lot of processing power and things like that. The problem that we're struggling with is that the things that we push to my ebooks, the previous test and the assignments and things like that, that takes up a lot of storage and the kids run out of storage as well. If you've got internet access at home and you want to start getting ready and you've got your tablet ready as well, you can start downloading my ebooks. We will send you a little video on how to download that. In your prospectus is your login details, and you can log into my ebooks already. So that just makes things easier on the first day of school. The other thing that we also push a lot is the Awesome app. Parents, please make sure that you download the Awesome app. The Awesome app is the way that we send notifications to parents about assignments, test dates, and things like that. You'll also find the Term 1 term planner on Awesome app as well. So it's very important that you download the Awesome app from your app store. We can what I can ask the IT staff to do is to make a little video on how to download that as well. Okay. That is everything from my side. I'll now hand over to Mr. Pinar.
Very warm welcome, parents and prospective grade 8 learners for 2021. It is indeed my pleasure to address you this evening concerning various aspects surrounding our school and what you have to look forward to in 2021. It is very exciting times for parents and learners alike, and it is also at the same time quite a scary time for grade 8s coming and making the transition from grade 7 to grade 8. It is something that is quite daunting, and very often learners feel quite out of their depth in that transition. But nonetheless, I need to assure you that we take all the necessary steps in order to make your transition from grade 7 to grade 8 as comfortable for you as possible. And Westring High School is blessed with phenomenal staff that really does take the best interest of your child at heart, and we really do try and accommodate you in all ways possible. So basically what I'm going to start off with this evening is just taking you through the general uniform that is expected of your child to wear from the first day in 2021. So if you have a look on the screen at the moment there, you'd see on the left-hand side is a young lady and a gentleman that is dressed in our summer attire wearing the blazer. Please take note that our generic blazer is the navy blue blazer with a royal blue type braiding around it, and then obviously sporting the Westring High School badge as well. The young ladies need to ensure that they wear their ankle white socks, and gentlemen, you are expected to wear the open-necked collared white shirt. If you look on the right-hand side picture, you will see two of our learners wearing the white open-necked shirts, which are for our summer uniform. And it is also very important that these white shirts have the Westring High School badge on them. Thank you, Mr. Fanikak. Next slide. If you have a look in front of you at the moment, you'll see there that there's another addition to the summer uniform, which is the pullover jersey that also has the Westring High School badge on it. That is also available for both girls and boys. And on the right-hand side of the slide is the various options that are available for our winter uniform. The lady on the left-hand side of the picture is wearing the navy blue stockings. The gentleman that is standing there is wearing the tie. Please take note, all the learners are wearing the tie. That is mandatory for our winter uniform. And then the young lady standing in the middle, the alternative option to wearing stockings is the knee-high navy blue socks. And then there's also a grey slack that is available for the ladies to wear as well. That all our school uniform is available in our school shop for your perusal and for you to be able to purchase there throughout the year. What is also very important, parents and learners, is to ensure that you make amends with what is expected with regards to the attire and when it is necessary to wear that. Normally, we transition from summer to winter uniform in approximately the second week of the second term. However, this is not entirely cast in stone. The school will communicate that clearly to you when we will look to transition from our summer uniform into winter uniform. And then normally we go from winter uniform back into summer uniform in the beginning of the fourth term. So please keep your eyes open for those dates. That will be communicated to you through the awesome app that Mr. Van Niekerk has spoken about. And that is quite an important app that will be making a huge part in your life going forward in 2021. Mr. Van Niekerk, thank you. Next slide, please. On the slide in front of you at the moment, you'll see that we are showing the current sporting attire. On the left-hand side, you see the Westring High School tracksuits. That is the generic tracksuit across the board for sporting codes. If you are a first team representative of our school, That first team will be embroidered at the back, and you will have a yellow collar sewn onto your tracksuit. And then if you look in the middle picture there, those are our training t-shirts that sports the golden eagle on the left chest. And if you look on the right hand side picture, there's a example of the blue Quantex shorts that most of our sportsmen and women take part in practices with. And then obviously our school's golf shirt, which the young lady is sporting on the left there. That golf shirt will be playing an integral part in your child's sporting sphere, because obviously the hockey, netball, tennis, etc., that will all be played in those respective golf shirts. So it would be very beneficial for you to be able to purchase one of those golf shirts, as well as have the Quantex shirts available for your child in order to partake in their respective events. Thank you, Mr. Funnigat. Right, so parents and learners, if you have a look on the screen now, we have 4 houses in our school. And you would have all noted on your prospectus that you would have your name and then what house they belong to. So the 4 houses that we have at Westring High School are Shaw, Matthews, Gush, and Pringle. On the left-hand side of the slide that you see in front of you, you'd see the blue house shirt, which is representative of Shaw, which is our blue house. And on the right-hand side is the green house shirt, which is representative of Matthews. Each child will be required to have a house shirt, as it will be an integral part of inter-house activities that take place throughout the year. And this shirt is especially necessary for the first day of grade 8 in 2021 when they arrive for their orientation. They need to be wearing their house shirts as they would be doing athletic trials on that particular day as well. Thank you, Mr. Funnigat. On the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see the yellow shirt that is representative of the house Pringle. And on the right-hand side is the red shirt, which is representative of the house Gush. Please take note of how the learners have worn these respective shirts. If you wear your house shirt, it is imperative that you either wear the blue Quantex short with white tackies if at all possible, or as close to white as possible. And then obviously you may wear your tracksuit pants as well, with your full tracksuit if you wish to wear your house shirt under that on a house activity day. Thank you, Mr. Funnigat. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, obviously this is no news to you, the COVID-19 pandemic that we are currently experiencing globally, not just in South Africa. And I am the COVID-19 compliance officer of Westring High School. So all the policies and procedures and different decisions that have to be made regarding COVID-19 at the school comes across my desk more often than not, and we will discuss those particular decisions at an executive level as well with the principal and the other respective deputies. However, I'm just going to inform you of the current procedure and protocol that we have implemented at Westring High School in 2020 with the onset of COVID-19. We have had to, like all other institutions in South Africa, adapt to a very fast changing environment. And what we have found works very, very well is the Chop Chop app that we make use of. It's our screening tool. And each learner will be furnished with a QR code that is unique to that learner. The name, surname, and class and grade will be represented on that QR code. So in the mornings when your child arrives at school, they will be allocated a respective gate that they would need to enter into or enter in from, and they will be met with a screening team that will screen each learner in every morning. Now, upon arrival at school, they will sanitize the learner's hands, and the learner will then proceed to the screening station, whereby they will produce their QR code. The screening team member will scan their QR code in using the ChopChop app, which is a mobile app. It will then register the learner onto the database, and then there's a series of questions that will be asked to the learner. The questions that are mandatory are: have you come into contact with someone that has tested COVID-19 positive? Have you been to a high-risk area lately? Are you symptomatic of various symptoms of COVID-19? And then obviously the learner will answer all of those as truthfully as possible. And once that is done, the screening team member will then sync that particular scanning session into the database, and we will then be able to see exactly which learners are on site, who are symptomatic, what their temperatures are, because temperatures will also be taken by these screening members and inputted into the app as well. So that is the procedure that would have to be followed on a daily basis for as long as we are in the COVID-19 pandemic. With regards to wearing of masks, as you all know, masks are mandatory. I have seen on various social media platforms that it has now been gazetted as being a lawful responsibility that you would have to adhere to, that wearing a mask, if you don't wear a mask, it is now deemed illegal. And the school has undertaken to furnish each grade 8 learner in 2021 with a branded Westring High School mask, a 3-layered cotton mask. And obviously it is a good practice for each learner to have more than one mask. I normally say that if you could have at least 3 that you can alternate in between and wash on a daily basis, and ensure that you have a fresh, clean mask from day to day. That is generally seen as good practice. Parents, this is something. The next point that I want to highlight for you, something that is quite concerning in general in society at the moment, is that of social distancing. Now, what we have noted at not just our school but in the Bay and in our metro is that people do not take heed of social distancing protocol. And this is something that we are clamping down on quite severely at Westring High School at the moment, is that learners need to maintain social distancing. And when we say social distancing, it's the expected norm of between 1 and 1.5 meters apart. And obviously wearing your mask at all times is a mandatory practice, and sanitizing your hands religiously. The moment you walk past the sanitizing dispenser, you would then sanitize your hands. So we have hand sanitizing stations throughout the school. Each classroom has been equipped with a sanitizer dispenser in them, and then there are sanitizing dispensers that have been strategically placed throughout the school premises for the perusal of each learner. There are in bathrooms, in the passages, in the corridors, in each classroom, as I've mentioned. And then when they enter the school premises on a daily basis, their hands will be sprayed as well. Another very important aspect to take note of under the COVID-19 pandemic is that no sharing is permissible. And that doesn't just go with sharing of lunch or sharing of various other utensils, but stationery and school bags and any other, even devices. We should not be passing these particular assets around between ourselves or between the learners. So it's imperative to ensure that your child understands that. And then one thing that I'm very pleased with that we've experienced in 2020 is that the parents have been phenomenal in identifying symptoms early and then quarantining or isolating their respective children. And this is very, very important because it obviously alleviates the infectious time that the learner may have spent at school, and obviously allows us to follow up on the direct contacts that each learner may have had. So if you aren't sure if your child becomes symptomatic or if a family member tests COVID-19 positive, etc., you are more than welcome to email me directly to find out what procedure you need to follow. I'd be glad to assist. Your class teachers would be very happy to assist as well as your grade your grade heads will be able to do that as well. I do see that Mr. Hayward has mentioned that the masks are available at the school shop as well for those of you that wish to purchase more masks for your children. Parents, before I move on to the next slide, this is really a plea to you from the school, in that we expect our parents to play an active role in the education of our learners with regards to COVID-19 and the COVID-19 pandemic. It isn't something new. Most learners have been exposed to various procedures and protocols at their current schools, but we rely heavily on parents to ensure that their children practice the necessary discipline and ensure that the children practice the necessary safety precautions when they are coming to school, when they are at school, and when they are leaving school. We only have control over your child when they are on our premises or in our school. The moment they leave our school, we lose that control. And it is then the self-discipline that you as a parent installs in your child that we rely heavily on to ensure that they maintain their social distance, that they sanitize their hands, that they don't share various items with other people. And in doing so, we can fight this particular pandemic together. Mr. Van Niekerk, next slide, please. Could you please ask that all mics are muted while the meeting is on, please? Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Van Niekerk, if you just move one slide back, I just would like to highlight what the actual QR code looks like. Each child at our school will receive a QR code that looks very similar to that, or looks exactly like that, sorry. It will be given to the learner in a plastic sleeve, as well with a lanyard, which they would be able to wear around their necks. And like I said, it is expected that that QR code must be on their person when they arrive at school every single day. Thank you, Mr. Van Niekerk. Right, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to sport, this is something that Westering High School prides itself in. It's a sphere of the school that we would like to think that we are very competitive in, and we are, and it's something that we take huge pride in. One thing that we need to highlight from the beginning is that it is expected in grade 8 and 9 that learners have to register for one winter and one summer sport, and that is a compulsory process and procedure to follow. And learners need to please take note that when they register for a particular sport, it's not just as simple as I don't enjoy the sport because my friend who I haven't really been on good terms with is also playing the sport, so now I want to go and play another sport. The moment that you are registered for a sport, that is the sport that you will partake in. If there is some concern or a desire to change that particular sport, that has to be taken to the sports coordinator and the sports administrator, and they will then discuss these potential options with the learner before effecting that change. Logistically and administratively, it becomes very difficult to keep track of learners if they chop and change their sports without the consent and all the necessary administration that needs to go along with that. Then as well, sports coaches will communicate their respective training days to the learner for whichever sport the learner decides to register for. They will meet with their sport coaches within the first week of their tenure at Westering High, and all of that information will be conveyed to them when trials will occur. Now for summer sport, provided that sport is permissible when we return under COVID. So all of that information will still be conveyed depending on where we find ourselves in 2021. Sports dress code must please be adhered to at all times. We are very proud of our brand at Westering High School. We try to look the part, and it is imperative that each learner that partakes in a sporting code adheres to that particular dress code related to that particular sporting code. The golf shirt is a shirt that can be worn more often than not. Our training shirts are available, the training blue navy shirts with a gold eagle on the left chest. That is available in our school shop, and it is expected that each learner wears that to their respective training at their sport practice days. Behavior during practice and matches must at all times be exemplary and in good sportsmanship. It's something that we pride ourselves in, is that we play our sport very competitively. However, it is expected of a Westringer to remain proud and to play a very competitive match, but at the same time display good sportsmanship. So we expect that from each and every learner. No practice or match must be missed without a valid excuse. Please, parents, this is something that is very difficult to try and manage, and unfortunately we are understanding that in certain cases on a Friday evening it is possible to fall ill. So unless it is really unavoidable, try and make provision for a match where a learner may have fallen ill in advance, so that the coach can perhaps select a other learner or other respective player into that child's position that has now taken ill. But just generally with regards to practices and matches, please try and schedule doctor's appointments as far as possible to not coincide with practice days. And if it really is not avoidable, please communicate with the respective coaches in advance so that they are aware for their planning purposes. It obviously allows us to be a lot more effective on the sports field as coaches and as teams if we have good communication channels. You can email your coaches directly for any concerns that you may have or anything that does arise as a result of illness or injury, etc. And then a very important point, parents and learners, is that for life orientation, the physical education component, the phys ed component of ALO, we have integrated into our sport. So the sport that each learner partakes in will ultimately assess them for their life orientation phys ed component. So that is why it is imperative for each learner to ensure that they are registered for a particular sporting code, so that they can be assessed for life orientation for the phys ed component of it, and that is obviously a mandatory practice. If there is a medical condition of a learner that prevents them from playing a contact sport, we have various different sports available or extracurricular activities available for learners to partake in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a contact sport. We have Walk for Life, we have squash, aerobics, etc. But if there are any concerns, please do make contact with myself or the grade head, and we can then come up with a creative way of assessing your child for the phys ed component. But generally, we expect the sport to be assessed as that phys ed. Thank you, Mr. Van Niekerk. Right, then with regards to discipline, as Mr. Van Niekerk has mentioned, I am the discipline officer for grade 8s for 2021. So just generally, we expect our learners, we refer to our learners as proud Westringers, and we expect them to behave in a manner that is in line with our school's ethos. And just to run you through the procedure for misconduct, if there is an issue, obviously the class teacher is the first port of call. That is a contact detail that you need to try and familiarize yourself with via email to your child's respective class teacher. If the class teacher cannot solve that issue, the class teacher will then escalate that to the grade head or the deputy grade head. The grade head is Mr. Van Niekerk, and obviously the deputy grade head, Mrs. Nell. And then anything that can't be dissolved or resolved on that particular level will then be escalated to the discipline officer, which is myself. And then if it's serious misconduct, then the discipline officer will then escalate that to an executive level, where the principal will become involved, but that is only for serious demeanors. Then, with regards to our misconduct policy at our school, we have all our misconduct is graded from a grade 1 to 4 offense. Grade 1 meaning minor or less serious, to grade 4, which is serious. There are corrective sanctions that will be implemented based on these classifications of the offense, and that will be decided at the disciplinary hearing or with the grade head or the discipline officer, depending on the transgression of the learner. However, we do hope that our learners of 2021 will familiarize themselves with the code of conduct and what is the expected conduct of a proud Westringer. And I sincerely do hope that we won't have any major disciplinary issues in the year of 2021. That is something that we can really try and work together to. And one thing that I need to mention is that discipline is the responsibility of the parent. We expect our parents to play an active role in the disciplinary procedure and to assist our school in ensuring that the school is of a disciplined nature. So parents, your support with regards to discipline is going to be absolutely paramount. What disciplinary procedures do we have, or disciplinary actions that we have that learners would be expected to do on various misconducts? Detention, which is held every day, not just on a Friday. It's held every day from 2 till 3:30, or just after 2 until 3:30 daily. For more than 3 detentions, you will be sanctioned to a principal's detention or headmaster's detention, which is on a Saturday morning, or for any other serious misconduct, written warnings, suspensions, etc. That is deemed serious misconduct or persistent misconduct, and that takes place on a Saturday morning from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock. Written warnings will be handed out for serious misconducts. There's a list that you would find in your prospectus. It should be there with regards to the misconduct. That will then obviously be for written warnings. Drug testing. This is in the drug policy of our school. Drug testing can be administered if there is sufficient reason to believe that a learner is abusing narcotics. A courtesy call will be made to inform the parent in this regard. It is something that our school takes very seriously, is the drug abuse. And if we do notice that a child's behavior becomes erratic, then that will be reported to us through the respective subject teachers, the grade heads, class teachers, anyone that comes into contact with the learner on a regular basis that notices that there's a serious change in behavior. That will be reported to the discipline officer, which is myself, and then an investigation will be instituted. And once that investigation has started, we will then, if there's reason enough to believe, we will then conduct a drug test. If the learner has been found to be positive for abusing a particular substance, then there is disciplinary procedure that follows, where the child will receive a written warning and potentially be suspended, and we will then obviously assist with the psychological support of the child as well, in ensuring that there is counselling that takes place. Our school has advertised a counsellor position for 2021, so that the counsellor will be playing an active role in that procedure as well. So drug testing is obviously something that we do take into account on a regular basis, and we do that randomly as well. We have in the past brought in the SAP just for visibility with their sniffer dogs, and in doing so we are seen to be actively fighting the fight against drug abuse. And like we said, we have a zero tolerance for drug abuse at our school. The school dress code, please, when attending school for any reason whatsoever, the learner must arrive in full school uniform unless otherwise stated by their coach, teacher, or the principal. If they are attending extra lessons, supporting sport matches, etc., full school uniform is generally the way to go, unless it is otherwise stated. And parents, obviously, when your child does get themselves out to come to school wearing the school attire, please make sure that they are looking presentable, that they are representing the school in a proud manner. It really does. It gets our support from the community on a huge scale, ensuring that we are seen in a positive light in our community as a whole and abroad from our community. Mr. Fanikak, I think that's my last slide.
Mr. Pinar, there's just a question. One of the parents is asking, is there any procedure they need to follow when they're going to the school shop?
Yes, we will allow parents to come in to the school shop once they have been screened and sanitized. We will also send out communication on with regards to procedure and protocol that will be followed. We will send that out via the SMS system in due course. But obviously, when coming to the school shop will monitor or manage the situation, ensuring that the different protocols are maintained, that the school shop doesn't become overcrowded. So that will be allowed. So when coming to our school, please make sure that you do follow the necessary COVID-19 protocols when you do your shopping. Are there any other questions, Mr. Fanika?
That is it. Thank you, Mr. Pinar.
Thank you very much, parents.
To Mr. Hayward, I just want to mention that from your important dates document, you need to note that the school is alternating days. So please just take note from that. So the kids will not be at school that Wednesday, but then on the Thursday, and then it will alternate from week to week. So what we're trying to do is our normal 2-week cycle that when we have normal school will be fitted into a 4-week cycle. But all of that information will be given to the learners in more detail when we see them on the first day. So please don't hesitate. Like I've shared my email address on the chat as well. If you've got any questions and you want to talk to me privately, make an appointment and things like that, we can do so. We just need to follow the normal COVID rules and requirements. And then, thank you. I can share the presentation on the group chat afterwards as well. And then that is all from me. Then I'll hand over to Mr. Hayward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and well, I'm very pleased to see that so many of our parents have joined online, and I hope that those who have not been able to join will get this recording so that they are aware of what is happening with your child coming to school. Ladies and gentlemen, there are just a few things that I would like to touch on, and I'm going to turn off my recording. I just wanted to show you that I've got a little bit older than the picture that's on here, and a little more wiser and perhaps a little more sterner. And there are some things that I really need you to know about Westering High School. The important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that I want you to take this opportunity to please have a look at MS Teams and familiarize your child and yourself with MS Teams. I'm very concerned that in January we may find ourselves in a situation where online teaching could be a reality again. The Nelson Mandela Bay Metro has spiked radically in the last 2 weeks, and COVID is really now a really grave concern for me. And I'm concerned that we are going to enter into some kind of a lockdown again, because there are now just too many lives taken by this dreaded disease. And so I want you just to be aware that MS Teams is our preferred platform for teaching, especially for online teaching. Ladies and gentlemen, then I also need to touch on a very difficult point, and I know these are difficult times, but school fees are very important to Westering High School. We pride ourselves that everybody pays their way at Westering High School. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult if you don't do this monthly. We have to operate the school on a month-to-month basis. And if you only do this in December, I can understand that there are many of you that pay with your bonuses. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to help us with some kind of a payment towards school fees on a month-to-month basis to allow us to have operating capital to run a good school. I also want to speak to you about your email. We are a very, very digitally driven school. We communicate to you only via email and by the WhatsApp app. By the Awesome app. And if you are not going to be logged into your email daily, then please get into the habit of doing that now. Please do not chop and change your email address because it makes it very difficult for us. And if you do so, please contact the school and let us have your new details, because we work exclusively on emails, the WhatsApp app and the Awesome app, and then also on SMSs. And we need these. Ladies and gentlemen, that lovely little child sitting next to you will come to school and change email addresses and will change cell phone numbers so that these do not reach you. So please, we're going to ask you to do that and you to take that responsibility. For some other reason, ladies and gentlemen, a teenager becomes a different animal at high school, and not all of them. But there are a select few that are going to try and be difficult, ladies and gentlemen, and therefore communication with you on a regular basis is very important, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're not hearing from the school for 2 weeks, then you must be worried, because then you know that we don't have your right details. And then please communicate that to us. Discipline to me is very important, ladies and gentlemen. I do not tolerate a lack of self-discipline and not being able to stick to rules. I want to tell you right now that I do not tolerate disrespect at all. It is very difficult to find teachers in this world, ladies and gentlemen. And all the teachers, you can go and check with my governing body members. All the teachers want to be at well-disciplined schools, and they will leave schools because of the lack of discipline of pupils. And I'm not going to tolerate that. My governing body has mandated me to suspend your child if they are disrespectful and if they do not adhere to school rules. And suspension will be for 5 school days, and I will repeatedly do that until your child knows how to behave. I do not think that you pay us in excess of 2,000 Rand a month for your child to be sitting at home. And it is about self-discipline and about doing your bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I often ask our learners, what are the top schools in the city? And they will tell me Grey and Collegiate. That's not true. Westering High School is a top school, and if we don't believe that and we don't act that way, then we are in trouble. So girls and boys, get your act together and know that I value the teachers at Westering High School, and I will not tolerate arrogance and disrespect to any of them. School attendance is vital. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that the Department of Education says that you may keep your child home in this COVID pandemic, and I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, it clearly shows that if a child is not at school, the results drop radically. It is the exception to the rule where there are children who are staying home who are doing well. And you have to write exams and you have to do tests to be able to promote it to the next grade. So please, ladies and gentlemen, consider this very carefully before you are asked and request for children to stay home during this pandemic. We do everything in our power to be safe at school. And ladies and gentlemen, you as parents, if you practice safety at home and keep your child home, then I know that we have won the major part of this battle. I also want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, that if you are fetching your child from school, you cannot just rock up at school and say, I've got a dentist appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's difficult to keep track of 1,000 learners, and you need to send an email a day before the time and make arrangements so that the child knows when to come to the front office. We cannot call and disrupt classes because you have not planned ahead. You can't just come there and say, please call my child and give me the front door key. Ladies and gentlemen, you will be amazed to know how many people don't seem to have a key to their own house, but their child does. So please make sure that you have 10 keys cut and that you are ready for 2021. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I do not allow any birthday flowers or balloons or any of those Valentine gifts to be delivered to school. I merely tell the supplier, please deliver it to the home address. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be worse than a Green Acres information desk if I had to allow that. There are almost 1,200 people in that school building, and I cannot allow that. At the moment, ladies and gentlemen, we also don't allow parents to come in to bring food and that type of thing. There is no tuck shop at Westring at the moment because it's not safe. I take the COVID thing very seriously. It is not safe to stand in a queue and to be that close to one another. Please pack a lunch. Most of the children, 90% of the children, bring a packed lunch and sit and enjoy a lunch on the rugby field, well spaced, at break time. Then also, ladies and gentlemen, you need to inform me right now, tomorrow if possible, if your child has a learning barrier, if they have ADHD and if they suffer from severe anxiety, or if they have an allergy or anything of that nature. You can't tell me a year down the line that we never responded to any of the things that your child suffers from. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we know right from the first day what we are dealing with and what we have to worry about. Our health and safety need to know about asthmas. They need to know about bee stings. They need to know about things that are important for your child. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the other important thing is the clothing size. Please get to the tuck shop knowing roughly what your child is going to wear, because returns are difficult in COVID time. We have to hang them out for, I think it's a period of 3 days before we can bring them back into circulation again. So please make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you are accurate with your sizing. And then also to let you know that our second-hand clothing is washed and ironed before it is put onto the rails in the shop, so you don't have to worry about anything there. Ladies and gentlemen, the only crime about high school is that you have to ask. If you are lost, please let your class teacher know. If you are lost, please let a prefect know. If you as a parent do not know what is happening, please send an email to the school and somebody will answer you. Ladies and gentlemen, the emails are all available on the website, and I want you please to be in communication with the school. Don't leave it until the day I call you in to say that your child has failed grade 8, and then suddenly you say, but you've never seen Afrikaans homework or you've never seen geography homework. If it's not happening, then tell me about it. If the teacher isn't doing work in the class, tell me about it immediately, not 4 months later. Be involved in your child's schoolwork. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been very involved in primary school, and yet for some other reason, you believe that high school, your child is old enough and needs to cope on their own. These are the most dangerous years in your child's life if you are not involved and holding his hand. I look forward to welcoming you all to the top school in Port Elizabeth, and I know that we are going to have a good 5 years of high school. Ladies and gentlemen, stay informed, stay in touch, and you will have a happy child, because we will make sure that we will do the best that we can so that your child can walk off into the world one day with a good high school education. Thank you very much, and thank you to the team. Well done. I think this was a well-presented evening. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gents. So just to finish it off, thank you, Mr. Hayward, for your presentation and for all the other staff that helped out. The main thing, this video was recorded, and we'll share as soon as this video, the meeting is ended. You'll see that it comes up in the chat bar. So you can just get that meeting from the chat bar. I'll also ask Mr. Robinson if we cannot download it and add it to our YouTube channel. So if you just search Westring e-learning on YouTube, you should see our YouTube channel where we share educational videos and functions sometimes that are live streamed, either onto our Facebook page or onto the YouTube channel. So please just follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and see what the school is all about and get a feeling for us. And then we'll get ready and see you next year. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gents, and enjoy your evening. Bye.